So yes, obviously I probably don't need to tell you that this was inspired by PewDiePie video and being able to draw. So when I always wanted to draw for many different reasons, being like cover art and stuff like that, but I never had the patience to do it because I'm always learning something. I mean, to learn how to make music, blah blah blah, or something. But I was like, you know what? Let's just try it. 30 days. That's like a month. I could spend a month learning to draw, and see how that turned out. And the way I get with stuff when learning new stuff is in the beginning I'll get very obsessive. So like when I started this challenge, it was bad. It was like every day from sun up to sundown I was just drawing constantly almost throughout the whole day. We're gonna go through some of the stuff I did, and I kind of documented them. I took some little pictures on my phone. They're kind of janky, but as we get further on, I did take like some actual scans. I learned how to scans, and I try to like timestamp on some of them. I didn't really timestamp. These dates aren't accurate. These are just the dates I transferred them to the computer. But some of them I did try to transfer. Like I have like the first 2 weeks. You'll see. So like starting with the first picture. Anyway, starting with the first picture, this was like day one. As you see, that's the bare back of the book right here, or opening of the book. Regardless, ignore the face at the bottom right. My friend drew that. He was trying to show me something, and I was like way after the challenge was over. But so interesting fact, as a kid I could trace like very well, like not trace like where you have it paper on the back of something and you trace like that, but like I could look at something and trace, but that never transferred into me being able to actually draw. And you'll kind of see that as I go through the book. So like up top, this is like from reference, this little face right here I'm circling, and then at the bottom this is obviously that fully coolly drawn. I was trying to like look at it and draw by eyes. Same thing here, I was looking at it and I was drawing, but then when you get to the next page, is like clearly it just falls apart. Like I don't know what was happening, and as you can see, I'm clearly like a Dragon Ball fan. I was trying to draw a camera right there, but yeah, it just fell apart. See, even yeah, this is me trying to draw like Dragon Ball faces with no references. It just okay, this is me trying to but yeah, this is me trying to draw like Fenyo. He's the artist on Instagram that does like a lot of, I believe he does official artwork for Dragon Ball, and he drew this picture of Kefka. I don't even know if I said the name right, goodness. But yeah, drawing like from this direction, and I tried to draw it many times and it was just trash. Mind you, this was like all in that first 2 weeks. I don't know the specific dates. It probably was like second or third date. Yeah, it just wasn't working out. Did more tracing, but after this is kind of like when I start slowing down on the tracing. I try to like learn fundamentals, so I start looking around me and drawing stuff. And this is pretty much just me on my own right here. Like this is where you can see my actual skills, or lack of skills. So like this is me, no trace or nothing. This is how I drew, and it was like okay, there is much to be desired. So this is after probably I've watched a couple of videos on like drawn from different angles and stuff like that right here on this side. Because what I wanted to mainly learn was how to draw without references. So what I would do is like I would watch a lot of tutorials on the fundamentals, and then I would kind of try to draw off the dome. Rather that hindered me or not, I don't know. I think later, as you'll see, I kind of made good progress, but my goal was to try to draw without references and do that by learning like fundamental stuff. So I hear you kind of see these are just like doodles of me just doing like cylinders and different stuff like that, not drawing anything specific. And on the right, this is like kind of my peak. Like this was peak me right here, like actually going all out after watching some tutorials and whatnot. This was my peak. I thought somehow I got better within that short span and tried to come back to do that, and I realized like, so yeah, there's like perspective things that I just don't understand, and a lot of fundamental concepts I just didn't get. So that's why you see after that I kind of went back and started drawing like cubes, and then I realized on this page I actually could not draw cubes. Like, these look bad. They're wonky and they're wobbly and they're all over the place. So I was like, yeesh, yeah, I'm way farther back than I thought I was. So what did I do? I practiced drawing cubes that actually look decent and actually had perspective and like some sort of direction with them, and that's much better than what we had previously. So continuing on, now I believe this is where I start having some documentation of the date. I think I posted this on TikTok, so I'm gonna check my little TikTok. But basically, before I go do that, yeah, this is me just trying to apply fundamentals and doing bodies. Obviously they're not good, but the main purpose was practicing proportions are like all out of whack. But yeah, so like I believe this right here on the right, this main one was with references. This is when I'm trying to use references, but now I'm going about it completely different. So instead of like just tracing with my eyes, I'm using references to learning the concept. So even if what I'm drawing doesn't look like the reference, now it's more so about if I can take that concept and apply it to my own art. So I believe this was with references. These were kind of like off the head, just trying to use what I learned. Like, they're nothing crazy, but trust me, I couldn't draw a body for crap. I only drew faces. So like even this right here, this wasn't much, but this is more so getting comfortable with drawing fuller pieces, because I only ever drew heads and from like one angle. So this is me just continuing. This is right, like I said, this is all within a 2-week span. Comfortable drawing better faces with better proportions that wasn't so anime all the time. This is more so sideways, let's tilt their heads. But he was this was more so just, you know, getting comfortable with bodies, because I'm even now I'm still not comfortable with bodies. But yeah, and we continue. This is more of face practice and like how to proportion a face, because like I said, my problem was I only knew how to do a face from one angle, which wasn't like helpful at all. They always came out wonky, like he looked like a frog. So I started doing this this method, which I got from a video. I'll try to link it if I could find it. But basically the idea was to draw almost like a paper, fold it in different directions, and once you get comfortable with that, you start adding stuff onto it to make it look more like a face. So you see it's folded, then I'll draw like a nose on top of it, different stuff like that. And then as you get comfortable, you kind of build you out a face. And yeah, so that's basically what this practice was. It wasn't necessarily to just look good, but just get comfortable with perspective. In my head, perspective was kind of like everything. Perspective and proportion. So that's more so what this was. This still kind of look crazy. This looks like Pepe for some reason to me. But like I said, they weren't good, but it was mainly more so just practicing concepts. And that's obviously much better than the other stuff I could draw earlier. Like this angle was impossible before, but now I was getting more comfortable doing more dynamic stuff. See here, practicing more with cylinders. This was I was actually really happy when I drew this little thing right here, because it was like I said, more perspective, and it had more weight and just dynamics to it. I couldn't draw anything like that because I've always tried to envision it. I was one of the people like, oh, well, if I just need to be able to envision it in my head and I could draw it. Nah, absolutely not. But when you learn like the concepts and shapes and you put the shapes together, it was easier to build something like that. You can see me doing more practicing. I think this was like foreshortening, which is still very hard concept for me to kind of grasp. You see more of that here, trying to use like the spring method to have it like fist come up closer to the screen. So like right here with the leg kicking, I was kind of happy about that, because like I said, I never drew bodies really, I only drew like faces. More of the kick, trying to do more full body stuff because I don't do it too often, so I kind of drew this. And that kind of just continued for a minute. So right here, this was based off of a model. This is me trying to correctly do do down. I'm getting my words mixed up. This is me correctly using the reference. So like this model looks nothing like the reference, but the pose is from the reference, and like the weight of it all, it actually looks 3D. Like she's standing 3D. Like this leg is smaller because it's farther back. This up close, so it's like little stuff like this. Like it might not seem impressive, but it was something I couldn't do before. It is more so getting the concept of like space, putting fundamentals together. Yeah, so if we go to this TikTok I made, this was like basically a sum of the first 2 weeks. So we seen that this was something I thought was kind of cool. As we saw earlier, this was like the perspective drawing of the person sitting down. Really happy about that. Getting better faces. You kind of start seeing my style change a little bit. Not some more sculpt programmy, more realistic. And yeah, and I was like happy about this. This is like one of my doodle days. Like I was just kind of doodling just to see what it would look like. Practicing different stuff, so like doing bodies. Like obviously these bodies aren't super realistic or crazy or anything like that, but this is stuff I just couldn't do before. Actually faces with decent proportions and shading on it. This little face up here. So like in a span of 2 weeks, like from where I started, I feel like yeah, it's much more better. And yeah, and this one was cool. Doing more little full body stuff. The hands, I hate hands. Just overall shading, muscles, just all that little stuff. And then this one. So this was a reference, trying to do more realistic stuff. So obviously, you got to like smaller shading on the nose and stuff like that. This doesn't actually look anything like the reference or the person I was drawing, but like I said, it was mainly using it as a guide to like where the portions should be, so like where the eyes should be. And this is just a clear big difference from where I started and drawing like cartoon proportions all out of whack. And like I said, this was all within the 2 weeks. This was like the end of it. This was the end of the 2 week period. And I'm like, yeah, that was a lot of progress for 2 weeks, not gonna lie. Official 2 week mark, like this was day 14. And it was basically just like a fundamental practice day. This was a reference drawing of Tifa. And this right here, I believe I have the scan for that. I'm gonna try to find my scans. But this was important because this is when I start actually really using fundamental stuff. So like the Loomis method for the first time. Actually like drawing the circle so I can get the angles and proportions right. I'd never really did that before, but I'm like, if I'm not going to use references, you got to do something. I can't be hard-headed all the time, so I start using guidelines. And this is obviously, it was almost unreal, but this is obviously a big difference for this being off the head and just from me actually using like the fundamentals. So like all the practicing I've been doing with the faces and different angles and stuff help with this, and using the circle to correctly proportion the face. And that's how this came about. So I was really proud of this. This is going into the 3rd week. So this is day 19 specifically. This is when I actually started trying to like document it. And I used copy paper for this. This is obviously a character from My Hero. This was with a reference. But then after that, these are like kind of just off the dome. Yeah, just making my faces look better, because like I said, I always just like drawing faces, and I was still experimenting with a style. So you see the eyes like will change, little stuff like that. Oh, the way I drew lips, this is when the way I drew lips changed a lot. I put more like depth in them. These were like really nice to me. This was with a reference. I don't know why this reminds me of like a Family Guy character for some reason, but yeah, just trying to get poses. Like I said, me and bodies are still like, yeah, this is kind of cool. I'm trying different stuff with the eyes, different angles. So nothing crazy, but this is like the beginning of the 3rd week. So this right here day 21, and it was basically a redo, not a redo, but like another Lumos Mectis practice, doing the faces in a different angle and like shading. I haven't done a lot of shading. I should do that more. But yeah, so that's what this was. No, nothing crazy. Just trying different hairs, different actually shading. Yeah, just more or less the same. But I also did this little speck right here. I was trying to color with a color pencil. Yeah, we don't talk about that. After that, because of how much I was drawing, I kind of like slowed down. So these are all within the 30 days, like towards the ending. But I kind of like slowed down, so they're not all documented like that. But so this is like me still getting comfortable with bodies. I thought this was very cool at the time. Like I said, they're not super realistic, but I don't think I'll ever be super realistic. It's not really my goal, but yeah, just getting comfortable with bodies, because I was like in the beginning, like I said, didn't draw them at all. They were very intimidating, and that's like one of the things that always hold me back. It's getting intimidated, and you gotta take the L sometimes. Sometimes you gotta draw some trash looking stuff so you can actually learn what you need to do and get better. Well, yeah, so getting comfortable here. Hopefully I don't get stricken. Yeah, so this was like the end. Basically, like the challenge, I'm pretty sure at this point I already ended, but I didn't like post anything I drew in between that time. So this was me saying like, yeah, I was gonna go for 100. I did not go for 100. I gassed out. I gassed out. But yeah, so this is like where I'm at now. This was toward the end of the third day, but I'm still like pretty much here when it comes to like faces. But yeah, so this is like more recent stuff. Cause like I said, I took a big break and I almost like forgot everything. But this is when I started getting the flow back, drawing bodies again. You gotta see I kind of lost the sauce a little bit. So this is making it like me reading stuff and me trying to get back into it. My style kind of changed from that point of me stopping and like starting again, like the way I do faces. And yeah, basically to wrap this up, these are like the final drawing. This is like what I drew yesterday. So this is kind of where I'm at now. So we have this one, full body, but proportions actually look decent from a different angle. Obviously the hands are behind the back because I don't want to draw hands. I know I got to, and I'm gonna push myself to draw hands. This one, so like I said, yeah, these are obviously without references, and this is about my skill level now. I'm gonna push to get better, because obviously looking at this now, it's like there's a big difference from where I was and where I ended up, and it was fun. But yeah, if you want to see more of the journey, me drawing and all stuff like that, be sure to subscribe, because I definitely want to continue doing this, learning, drawing, and probably other little stuff, and just put some projects together. But yeah, this was definitely fun. I want to keep drawing, and maybe eventually we'll do an animation challenge. I don't know, though. That's near and dear in the future. I also want to start doing digital drawing, but I know I need the tools for that, so that will come when it comes. But yeah, hopefully this inspired you to also want to try to draw. If you have any tips and you've been drawing, hopefully you could leave some in the comments, because I'm still learning. Like, I don't feel super confident yet, but I do know that there is improvement from where I was, and I can definitely draw stuff I couldn't before. And yeah, with all that being said, I will see you guys later.